So now I'd like to bring up a man that can speak a little bit to that. He's the current chairman of the CYO Athletic Steering Committee, and he's a successful longtime coach himself. In fact, he is the coach of that team, the only team to score 3 touchdowns against this year's St. Joseph's Championship team. From St. Rita's Parish, please welcome Mr. Randy Davies.
Big difference between me and the other people is I don't even like this guy. we had visions of winning CYO this year ourselves there, and he went and spoiled it on us. Actually, I met Bob, it was 1977. You had just taken over a year before CYO, and we ended up actually in an argument here, a disagreement here, when I told him his CYO program was Mickey Mouse. But, a few years after that, he asked me to come on the board for CYO. I think it was about 1981, something like that. I thought, well, I'd do this for a year or two, and see how I liked it. Well, we hit it off in doing things. Bob would ask my advice about our area after I sent him a map that showed the location of all our schools and why these 2 schools that are 40 minutes apart should be in the same league. Nobody knows much about our San Gabriel Valley area, and he started calling me for advice and that. So we really enjoyed it. So I've stayed on the board for about 25 years now, and it's largely because of this guy. Now, during that time, it's been alluded how organized Bob is, and I will attest to that. Things were always out well in advance. You always knew what was coming up. You could make your plans for playoff games or whatever. Because it was always at least 3 weeks ahead of time. And it was just great knowing that. So I've always admired that about Bob. It's why I was excited that the day Bob was inducted in the Hall of Fame, they told me that I was going to go in at the same time. And I thought, oh, this will be great. It's quite an honor. And then I hear the reason why is Bob wanted me to come in on the same day as he did to make sure there was a crowd there for him. I listen to these kind of things. Bob, our team has always done pretty well in playoffs, and Bob would always come over and tell the kids, you guys did a great job. Imagine how good you'd be if you had a coach. And this is his kind of line all the way. Well, then we come down this year, and Bob and I talked on the phone. We've talked for a lot of years, and his team was ranked, for some reason they did rankings this year, and his team was ranked number 1, and mine was ranked number 2 most of the year. So we knew we were going to end up meeting in the playoffs. So I watched him play a couple times, they watched us play a couple times, and then I get this invitation in the mail to come to the dedication of his football field. And he comes in a week before we're supposed to play. And he gets a phone call, sure would look good on my scoreboard if we could put up a 2006 CYO champion. Anyway,
sure does.
Yeah. He did. They had an outstanding team this year, and it was really neat. And to see Bob and Sean coach together, and in this game, my son and I were coaching on one side against Bob and Sean on the other side.
Awesome.
It was kind of neat, regardless of the outcome of the game. We were excited to lose to a class program if you're going to lose, and the kids were great. And for the St. Joseph kids here, they'd be really proud of the way they handled themselves after the game. And my kids commented on the same thing, and that again comes down to the type of leadership that you have. I can't even imagine a kid misbehaving on a football field for Bob. So anyway, as far as the CYO program goes, there's never been anybody like Bob. Yeah, and I've been through 4 directors, and I've never seen anybody that has been disorganized. It really is his program, and you don't often say that about one man out of thousands of people here. But I congratulate Bob on everything that he's done for this program, and we definitely miss him.
Thank you, Randy. In addition to being the only man, and correct me if I'm wrong, before or since to win the Catholic Charities Employee of the Year Award, is that correct? They've given out one Employee of the Year in all those years, and it went to him. That means he's the only guy that ever worked for the Catholic Church that everybody liked.
Wow.
Yeah, well. In addition to that, and all his other awards and accolades, he got a Special Community Service Recognition Award from the Crenshaw District, an inner city area where very often sports programs are the last line of defense. Now it's easy, when you're a director, it's easy to go to the places where they have good fields, they've got plenty of money, they've got a lot of parents helping out, but that's not where you're needed. So where does Fitz go? He goes where he's needed. He reaches out to the people that need it most. He wants to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake and everybody has the same chance to win. Obviously the people in this neighborhood understand that as well as we know that. So even though we didn't see him a lot during those 25 years, except at Mass and the things he was doing here in the parish, he was spending his time not in the office. He was out on the fields. He was out making sure the playoffs were running right. He was out making sure that there were coaches. One of the hardest things in the world is to get enough coaches. Not just good coaches, any coaches for some of these places. And I think one of Bob's geniuses, he knows how to ask people for things. Many people are embarrassed to ask other people to help out. Bob does it in a way that makes you want to help and keeps you helping, even though you have to take time out. It's one of the things I think that is unsung about Bob is his ability to inspire volunteers. Now, until the Rams left town, he was involved with the Rams. He was involved with the U.S. Football League, the World Football League. Anything with sports, Bob was involved with. But he would do it for 2 reasons. 1, because it was fun, and 2, because he would make new connections. And he would call up those connections and say, hey, we're having an auction at the CYO Hall of Fame. Do you have anything you could give us? And anybody that's been to a CYO, or was when Bob was in charge, to a CYO Hall of Fame and auction, you had really prime good stuff there from the people directly. Because everybody knows Bob Fitzpatrick in LA. That's one of the best parts about working with him, is that you can talk with him for 2 hours and hear stories about famous people for hours and hours. Now, in addition to being a loyal neighbor, a parishioner, he was a good neighbor. When we did the CYO retirement, we invited all his neighbors from Napomo Street. Are any of those neighbors here today? Oh, good, we can talk about you. Bob had a porch. There was a porch in the front of the house, in the Napomo house, and he put a sunshade down so he and the rest of the coaches, after practice, would go over and drink beer and make nasty comments about people walking by. So here's this poor old lady walking by, walking her dog, going, hey, stop that! Turn around, she can't find anybody. So not only does he harass our sons on the football field, he harasses the neighbors. So besides being the CYO Hall of Fame and the Ciravello's Hall of Fame, the Legends Hall of Fame, he's also telling dumb jokes to waitresses at Ponchos and annoying the neighbors. He's an equal opportunity insulter.